Hey, dear listener, if you've ever struggled with setting creative goals or sticking to them, you're not alone. I get it. We get bursts of vision, 1,000 ideas, and then freeze, or overplan, or procrastinate, clean the spice rack. So, how do we build sustainable habits and set goals that actually support our creativity instead of crushing our souls? That's exactly what we're diving into today with our guest, Allie Moss. Allie is a singer-songwriter, sideman, vocal coach, and burgeoning producer. You may know her from her work with Ingrid Michaelson's band or from touring with artists like William Fitzsimmons and Joshua Radin. She's also the co-leader of a songwriting community called Thinking Outside the Blocks, where she helps artists gently break out of unhelpful mindsets and into creative flow. With nearly 20 years of experience teaching voice, Allie's coaching focuses on consistent technique that actually supports your artistry. And in 2025, she's got big things coming, including a vocal harmony course and her first self-produced music. We're two childhood best friends talking about creative mindset.
I'm Emily Hatch.
And I'm Carrie Schaefer, and this is Honestly, Dear Listener.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo! We have a wonderful guest with us today. I met Allie through Emily, and so I would like to know, Allie, how do you know Emily?
I know Emily because she's a fantastic vocalist
She is.
and vocal coach, and we have multiple friends in common because of that. So through the vocology in practice, but also through the friends and the colleagues we have in vocology in practice. And I feel like we really connected when we were in a business mastermind with Whitney of the Singing Straw. And we sort of partnered up and realized we had so much in common life-wise, just like life experience. And we immediately clicked. I felt like I'd known you for years.
Yeah, it was crazy. Well, so Allie is also a pastor's kid. It seems like so many of our, like, we were married young and have a new partner that our lives have kind of like paralleled each other in many ways. So yeah, we were like, you too, this? Oh my gosh. So yeah. It's awesome.
Both of our current partners are like in music world. Like it's like really weirdly, uncannily similar.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, and I think Allie was like, hey, you're making music, because we were in kind of more just the business side of this mastermind. And she was like, do you want to maybe meet and start talking about our artistic goals? And then we got closer once we realized we were like, it had like 80% of the same life experiences. It was crazy. So yeah.
So I also have the privilege of knowing Allie because I, by the grace of the Lord, got to be invited into a goals badass gals group that Allie and Emily are in. And we have a document online that we update our weekly goals, and we meet every so often over Zoom and talk about kind of where we're at, where we're going, how we're approaching our goals, how we're meeting them. And in general, it's been so far, and we haven't been meeting for that long. It's been really, really great just to not feel alone when you're because for so many artists it feels so solitary, like you're kind of just plugging away at your art and but this feels warm and inviting and encouraging, and just it has helped me so much just to know I'm not a weirdo, and I also have people that can encourage me and people that I can encourage, so
yes. Yeah.
Allie's really spearheaded this as well. So she's sorry, like you're not here. Just like the the main driving force behind this, and being like, it's Sunday. So we're going to talk more about how all of that works, but we are so happy to have you here and for you to share the ways that you've helped. I mean, you've helped us, and you help
Mhm.
other creatives as well. So thanks for being
Thank you.
here.
Thank you for having me. I love talking about creativity, and I love talking about how anyone who wants more creativity in their life can make time for it. I
Mm.
think it's something that we as kids embrace, just trying stuff.
Mhm.
And then either because of life, how life unfolds, or our interests go other ways, or because someone tells us something, right? Like that's often a thing. Is
Yep.
like someone discourages a child like from painting or dancing or singing or and they bury that dream. Um, but at the end of the day, we all end up as adults with responsibilities. Whether you've stuck, whether you have that emotional thing or it's just life taking up all of your time and energy. And it can, I just really love helping people uncover, rediscover what beauty, what,
Mhm.
like, just like a sense of accomplishment and joy making things and creativity can bring into your life, and then how to prioritize it.
Mhm.
Because again, your family's going to come first, making dinner is going to come first, making money to pay the bills is going to come first. So it's like, how do you fit it in? If you're not whether or not you're aiming to be like a full-time songwriter or you just want to actually write songs.
Mhm.
um
Well, that's good because I feel like so many of us artists have these ideas. Like we create. And so the idea creation is like pew 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 like little popcorns, and before you know it you have like a bowl full or a head full of popcorn popped, and you're looking around and you're like, "Ugh, there's no room. How do I organize all of this? Like how
Mm.
do I take how do I even narrow it down? How do I even know what I want to begin?
yeah.
Because there's a billion different directions that I could go. And then how do I, once I know what I want, how do I move forward with that to ensure that that dream or that idea has the best chance of being realized?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you from
Dang
Oh,
my
it.
dang
Well,
it.
this is over. This is done.
Bye.
from my experience personally, um and then also working with I have a songwriting community slash membership called Thinking Outside the Blocks, which I
Mm,
can tell
Love
you more
it.
about. But basically, I created the songwriting community of my dreams.
yep.
um, and so I've worked with a lot of songwriters in that capacity, as well as like voice coaching artists who write songs, as well as like collaborating and having peers and friends who write songs. There are a couple things that come up for us, but one of them is like fear, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um, it just stops us, like our negative mindset, our thoughts about like it can, for some people, and that was my experience, like stopped me from even starting.
Yep.
I just didn't make anything. And then the longer I didn't write, the more I believed the lie that I couldn't write.
Mm.
And it was my partner in TOTB, my friend Bess Rogers, who I met through the Ingrid Michaelson band, who invited me in to collaborate with her on a couple other songs and then helped me finish some of my songs. And
Mm.
I had such a sense of like elation, joy, accomplishment from just getting songs over the finish line.
Mm.
Um, that propelled me, that gave me the momentum to keep writing more. For me, I switched my goal at the time from writing like the best songs, because
Mm.
there was such a gap between what I was writing or had experience writing and like the music I listened to.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
um that can sometimes be also be paralyzing, is like when you start making stuff, most of it's not going to be good
Mm.
Yep.
or great. um
But you
And
need
so
that fertilizer down so
yes,
that good stuff can grow
exactly.
eventually.
Exactly. So for me, the shift was I made my goal to write a certain number of songs.
Mm.
They did not have to be good. They just had to be done.
Yep.
And I started slowly. I feel like the first year was like a song a month. So 12 songs, and then it was like 25 songs, and then it was like 50 songs. And then it was like, how many songs can I write if I just write as many songs as I can? um and if I accomplished it, and the beauty is that I did get better at writing songs by writing more songs. So
Mhm.
that's sort of a
Funny how
mantra
that works.
of mine. Yeah, you get better at writing songs by writing songs.
Mhm.
Mm.
But how do I know, like, for instance, I sew and I write uh, books and short stories, and I coach, and I do all of these things. How do I, and I could do a whole bunch of other things, that could possibly make me money. How do I know? How do you know what is the most important thing? Like,
Mm.
how do you know that something is worth getting up on your goals instead of being like,
Hmm.
let's maybe just like prioritize these other things instead?
I would say that you have to spend a little time digging into your real dreams and desires. Journaling can help with that. Also, just paying attention to noticing how you feel when you spend time doing each of those things.
Mm.
Mm,
So, for me, for example, I love cooking, and that's a really wonderful place that's creative for me. But over the years, like I started making dairy free ice cream before dairy free ice cream was like a thing you could easily buy in the store,
mm,
and everyone in my life was like, "You need to sell this." But the thought of making it in bulk and not
mhm.
seeing the faces of the people that were eating it just was not appealing to me. So I could tell, like, I probably missed out on an opportunity to make a lot of money, but it just, like, the idea of cooking for mass, not appealing.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know that that is a part of my life that's just creative for me and my
Yeah.
family.
So
So
how does that, is that because you say I'm paying attention to how I felt?
yeah.
What does that mean exactly? Like brass tacks, do you feel that in like where do you feel that? And how do you feel that?
Like, couldn't you lose yourself in doing the thing? Like,
Mm.
when you go to sew, could you spend hours and suddenly look up and be like, oh, I haven't eaten, unless there's something that interrupts you? Is it the kind of thing that you find like flow and enjoy in? Does the feeling of getting to wear something you've made to an event outside your house like just bring you peace, or is it something that you feel like you should do?
Ooh,
Mm.
the should.
Yeah,
The should.
they
Yep.
should. That's what I would look for.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Because there's lots of things like, if I think about, and I'm sure it's like this for you and our listeners as well, like there's a bunch of things I could do. Like
Mhm.
I could do like journalistic pieces. I know how to write. But the idea of doing that, I have a physical reaction. And
Mm.
my body goes, no, 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 no. That's not the kind of writing we want to do. Could you do it? Yeah. I don't want to.
I think there's also like your community around you sometimes, like your friends and family are like, you should make this. And a lot of us, especially as women, are like, the expectation is that I'm good at this and I should do it. For me, I will like go down that path for a little bit. And then I notice like physically I could sometimes feel something or like that. No, no. All of a sudden I'm just like, if I like this feels like so much work. I went to like
Hmm.
a coffee shop to like plan a thing that people were telling me I should do. And I actually was like physically uncomfortable and I'm like sitting there writing out a plan and I was like, "Ugh," I felt like being a toddler. I was like, no, no. Like and then I
Hmm.
was talking to my coach and she's like, maybe you just don't want to do this. And I'm like, Oh, yeah, okay. So learning to, like, spend time with yourself in the ways your brain or your body, like, responds to that we don't actually wanna do probably all the
Mhm.
things. Some of us do, though. But, yeah, so narrowing things down, I love it. Start learning to pay attention to yourself and what you actually want.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like sometimes the resistance isn't that you don't want to do it, the resistance is fear.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you have to be able to
Yeah.
discern what it is. But
Yeah.
but going down the road for a little while and trying it is also a good idea. Like
Mhm.
you can always pivot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what's the worst that can happen? You
Yeah.
figure out you don't like that thing or whatever, and yeah, like you said, you turn and you
Right.
figure out something else.
Where you
Mhm.
realize I like this, but it's not for a job.
Right.
Yep.
Totally. Yes. I think this idea of being able to discern between I don't want to do this and I'm scared to do this, but I want to. Boy, that's a real exercise in some self-trust right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be an artist
Mhm.
from little kid. What that art looked like, I don't know, but like it
Mhm.
definitely involved singing,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And for me, that role sometimes looks like sideman, sometimes looks like songwriter, and these days sometimes even looks like producer. It's like I just like making stuff, and particularly with voices on
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
Okay, so we know what we've narrowed down what we want to do. We have an idea. And then h- and then what? How are we setting goals? How are we like the whole goal thing of like it's January 1 and here are my New Year's resolutions. I generally have an entire list. And then I and d and da 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 and then probably around like February. Who am I kidding? Like second week of January, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. So like
Or it's, like,
how
so big that you're just like,
yeah,
"Cool, I want to be an astronaut. Got
right.
it." Like, where I wanna be a
Totally.
songwriter. I wanna sell my clothing. I wanna write a book. Like, uh, it's so big, now I give up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
I have a lot to say on that actually. I think that goal setting is so, so helpful, but it doesn't have to be January 1. It doesn't
Mm.
have to be, you can change anytime you want to
Oh,
today.
yes.
But I do like milestones. I think they are helpful as times to reflect. So I use them as in my life. I previously set annual goals, and just this year, I started setting quarterly goals, sort of based on Ali Abdal's quarterly quests, which is sort of like from the 12-week year. The
Those
idea
are both
being that
books, right?
Ali Abdal has, yeah, he has a book, but he mostly uses this in like a course and he does some free quarterly check ins. So that's kind of how I started with that. But the
Cool.
12-week year is a book as well.
So
Good.
why quarterly and not annually?
The Cliff's Notes version is that um, it's hard for people to actually think that long in advance.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so generally even businesses will like do their push at the end of the year. Yes, it's like Christmas and holidays and stuff, but they're like, "Oh, end of year's coming. We better make these quotas." And so you just basically make your year condensed to have that sense of urgency.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so I like that. And then when it comes to setting the goal, I do think it's important to have it be a little bit lofty, but also realistic. For example, um, scientist you could be. Going to the moon, maybe not so much, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
Like depending on how many years you have to live. For as an artist, I would say like releasing a an album and then creating a show to celebrate it, realistic. For some people, maybe saying like perform on SNL might be a good goal, but like for other people, that's too far. So you just have to assess yourself with kindness and honesty in terms of your goals. Like, what's something that you can achieve? Because if it's really out of your league, it's just going to be depressing and discouraging.
Yeah,
Yep.
So
absolutely.
make it reachable, and then break it down into smaller chunks. So like start to think about like what are the steps that have to take to get there.
If you have like a big, say the big goal is, um, I want to do a show of all original music at a venue. Uh, but like right now, I've only written a couple songs and I know some musicians, like that kind of thing. It's like, how do I go from that? I mean, and this is a very specific thing, but like how some of us have a hard time even chunking
Yes.
down
Yeah.
from that big, like, example. What way do you kind of advise people to like look at that giant goal and make it chunk?
Smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And chunk it.
Chunk it.
Um well that's what I love helping people do. So for you I would say like how many songs do you have that you can actually play all the way through?
Mm,
And then how many of those do you really like that you would be excited to perform? So if the set is 40 minutes, then the first thing really we need to do is get you a set of 40 minutes that you
mm,
feel good about. So
mhm,
let's just focus on the writing and the arranging of the songs. And
mhm,
if you want 40 minutes of songs, say that's like 8 to 10 songs, I want you to write 50 songs
mm,
cuz you're not going to like all the songs that you write.
yeah. Cool.
Mm.
So it's like maybe like someone wants to write a book this year and it's like, okay, well then you're going to need like X amount of stories or whatever to figure out your stories and then start actually writing the stories. And you're not going to like all the stories you write. Like, so getting that big thing and then starting to be like, what are the pieces that
Yeah.
we don't
L-
have? Or what do we have?
let let's talk about like, okay, let's say I came to you, Allie, and I said, in a year, I want to have written, and maybe not recorded for a full length album, but I want to have written an album's worth of music. Okay, so that's the year goal. And you're saying from there, chunk it down to every quarter. So just, this is a total hypothetical, but for the sake of, understanding the process, how would I chunk that goal down to quarters? And then what happens incrementally in the quarters? Is it every week? How do I, yeah,
Yeah.
start there.
So with that goal, you also have to take a look at like how much time you have
Hmm.
Mhm.
and like how much experience. Are you already in the flow of writing songs or do you need help getting going writing songs?
Hmm.
If you're like I'm already writing two or three songs a month, then I would say like, well, could it be 4 or 5 songs a month? And so that the end of the quarter you have 15 songs and then that's 60 by the end of the year, right?
Okay.
So like sort of just do the reverse math. And also then maybe considering looking ahead and going like, well, this whole month I have this other project and then there's the holidays. So there's going to be some time when I have less time to write songs. So
Mm,
maybe I need to arrange with some friends to have a weekend where we write 5 songs in a weekend and
Mm.
like, really just thinking about reverse engineering like getting the time to do it. And then you could
Hmm.
look at your week and go, well, if I'm writing a song a week, like when do I have pockets of time to write?
Mm. I'm literally going through this exact thing, so I appreciate this because, yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's so many of us too that are like high achievers uh, are just like, well, I'm going to do that and I'm just going to make it happen because I'm a person who makes it happen. And
Yep.
you don't actually look at like, my mom's going to be in town for 2 weeks this month. And I know this is literally like
Yep.
actual things. And then at the end of the month, you're like, I didn't write my 4 songs. I'm a piece of shit. Then you spend the next 4 weeks not writing because you're busy dwelling on it. So, this
Yep.
like looking ahead and being realistic and kind with yourself about these
Mhm.
goals, a really
Yes,
important thing as
it
a
really is.
person who doesn't do that well. Just,
The the other thing I feel like is important to say is that like I do think having a dream or a goal or a thing you are aiming at is helpful, but if you've read Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about creating goals that are identity based goals, and I really resonate with that as well. So you could just be like, I want to be a songwriter.
Mm.
That might be your goal, and it's like big, and but it's also like vague because you're like it's
Mhm.
identity based. So then you would look at like, well, what does it mean to be a songwriter? What does a
Mhm.
songwriter do? They write songs. So getting more into the mindset of like, I'm going to be the type of person who X.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because you need to have some kind of evidence that you accomplished the goal. Because
yes,
just saying I want to be a songwriter is like, well, what's the evidence? Okay, well, my evidence is I wrote songs and I
yes,
wrote a lot of them.
yeah.
And yeah.
And I've found that like, especially with certain creative endeavors where like you're putting your art into the world, that it just shifted. Before I made this switch, I was the kind of person who mentally flip-flopped between I need to make art to I might as well quit. Like I'm
Mhm.
never going to be so and so. I might as well I'd go to a show and I'd be simultaneously so inspired and so
Mhm.
discouraged.
Yep.
Like that seems like so amazing and so far away. So why should I even bother? But then I
Mhm.
couldn't sustain that because there was a drive in me to create. So it would be this flip flop, and it was very emotional and very unhealthy for me. And like just draining. And then when I embraced writing as many songs as I could, I got so much joy from that, from the
Mm.
process of it. I was like, I'm actually doing it and I'm enjoying this, whether or not anyone hears these songs, whether or
Yes.
not anyone likes them. And I embraced that identity of like, I write songs.
Mhm.
And that in and of itself became enough. And then when people listen to and like the songs, it's just like icing on the cake. And it,
Yes. Sorry. I
no,
just
yeah,
got
yeah,
really
like get
excited.
excited about that. It's like so what I feel like it's really important to enjoy the process of
Mhm.
doing the thing.
Yes, that is such a good reminder. And this sounds so much like Emily and I talk about The Artist's Way all the time by Julia Cameron, and how she talks about it's kind of not any of your concern at the writing stage. Now, when you're putting together an album and you're cutting songs, this isn't but this one I really like, let's include this. That's a different thing. That's a different muscle. But the writing of the song or the writing of the book or whatever, when you're making the thing, whether it's good or not is kind of none of your business. It's
Yeah.
your
whether or not people are going to
business.
like it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that is not helpful during creation. What is your business is the sitting down and doing it, the quantity. Quality, no. Quantity, yes. Get it done, get it out. And something, if you have a body of work like what you're talking about, 60 songs that you can then pare down and figure out how you can release, a 15 to 20 song album, there's bound
Yeah.
to be gold in there.
Yeah.
And you'll have things to choose from.
Yeah. And then The other thing that happens specifically, I'm a songwriter, so I keep coming back to that as the example,
Do it.
but
Yes.
like if you don't really write that much, then you tend to put a lot of pressure on yourself for that song, that next song you write, to be really good.
Yep.
And it probably will have some good parts to it, but like, will it be a hit? Maybe that it could be, but probably not, right? That's
Mhm.
what the evidence shows. But if you're writing regularly, then it takes the pressure off each individual song.
Yes.
And you just know, well, this one's okay. I'm going to write another song next week.
Mhm.
And you enjoy the process more because you're putting less pressure. You can then pivot and write a song that's funny, or you can pivot and write a song just to finish it as an exercise. And then when you have that body of work, you might have more vision or more space between you, and you can go back and go like, well, those verses are not it, but I love that chorus, and now I can see how I can take this song and rewrite it or edit it
Mhm.
to get it to a place that I like. So it just puts you in the more of this mindset of like, what does an artist do?
Yep. Yep. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're kind of saying, and I've heard this a lot, is like, stop being so precious about every little individual thing and start, because that's focusing so much on quality right at the get-go when you're creating. Instead, no, let it happen.
You know how I would phrase it
Yeah.
is learn how to hush your inner editor, because you
Mhm.
do need an editor.
Mhm.
An editor is what tells you what's good and not good. An editor stops you from walking into the middle of the street. Like it goes like, hold on, But that part of your brain should not be there while you're creating. Maybe
Mhm.
at some point it learns to collaborate with the author so that there's a dance of like while you're writing you can edit a little, but generally I say like learn to hush your inner critic, which is in essence being less precious, because
Mhm.
you're like, I just got to get something written.
Mhm.
And
Because
then
a
invite the
songwriter
editor
writes.
back into the room at the appropriate time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what you're saying then is that the editor is not bad.
No.
The editor has specific times that it's helpful that they come out.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's
Yeah.
really an important distinction.
And for someone like me, I would say like people tend to fall in creatives, at least in songwriting or music, into two categories that I've seen. One is that they have a lot of ideas, they have an easy time starting songs, starting ideas. Like they have a lot of voice notes or a lot of lyrics, snippets of things, but they don't necessarily have an easy time taking that over the line to edit it or finalize it or refine it. Or there's people like myself, which have a hard time starting, but once I have a thing, I can really refine and make it like excel. So, like, editing is like my favorite part. My inner editor is refined.
Mhm.
Sorry, you're going to hand me your album or your menu, and I'm going to find the typos. Like, I'm that person. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Um, I just scan for the editing, and I love working with songwriters who have lots of ideas because like
Mhm.
we collaborate really really well.
I'm the first of those two for sure. I'm like, oh man, this pops out like, oh yeah, I love that thing. And then I have to, if I really love an idea, I have a really hard time finishing it because I'm like, it's like the Schrodinger's cat thing where you're like, this could be a great song or it could be a piece of shit, and I'll never know because I'm not going to write the rest of it. But I'm like, that's a
Oh.
great idea, Emily. Moving on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm definitely the second one like you, Allie. It's scary to start, but yeah, love when the editor comes out. Love when I'm like, I have it freaking written.
Yes.
Now we get to take out all of our pins and we get to like, we're marking everything up. Like I am with you that comes more naturally to me too.
I'm
Yeah.
for some reason like with my students, I am so good at the editing piece and like pulling things out, but I think I have no um perspective for myself to be kind and do that. So like I'm super kind and like excited for other people's finished product, but for myself I'm like, oh, that's scary. Bye.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I think you just have to spend more time doing it, and eventually you can do that for yourself. So I think we all have elements of both. I just feel like I've just noticed people tend to fall into one category or the
Mhm.
other.
Yep. For sure.
makes
Pretty.
sense.
Talk to us about what is calendar blocking anyway?
Right.
How do we
So
manage our time?
I know time for me, I wish was infinite, and it.
Yes.
I started about 8 years ago, deciding to be a little bit more organized about my goals. And it actually probably, if I am honest and look way back, my ex was a project manager, and he helped me realize one day that I felt defeated always at the end of the day because I would have a laundry list of things to do. I would get a lot done, a
Mhm.
lot. I'm not someone who's sitting around, but I would still feel like it was never enough.
Oh.
And often that was because I was deprioritizing something that was very important to me in order to tick a lot of things off you know, I
Mhm.
just wasn't making time for what was important to me. So over the years, I decided I need to sort of purposefully decide what's important to me, because my instinct is just going to always be to do the thing that's in front of me.
Mhm.
um, Feel accomplished because I'm moving, but I'm not actually moving the needle on the thing that I want to move. So I just chose a day of the week, and I just am pretty regular about like reflecting at what I did and like setting new creative goals for the week. And this practice in and of itself has helped me be kinder to myself, because often we forget like all the
Oh.
things you did, or the life stuff that came up, and when you have to actually look at it or say it to somebody, you're like, oh, that actually is a lot. I get it. It's helped me face my own procrastinate cleaning. um like,
Procrastinating. I love that.
yes, yeah, I'm really good at it. Suddenly I need to organize like my
Mhm.
spice rack or
My
whatever.
God.
Those dishes,
Yeah.
man.
you
Yep.
Yep.
know um Cobwebs, whatever, the thing that can wait, because I'm afraid. So if I see myself putting something on my goals like week after week and not doing it, that's a clue to me, like, either that's really not the right time for that right now and I need to let it go, or I have to figure out why I keep putting everything else before it.
Mhm.
So that's just a thing I do. Like, it's helped me to whittle down my list of like, be more realistic, that even sometimes when I have the time, I don't have the energy.
Yep.
We're finite. I hate it. I want to have endless energy and endless time because I would get everything done.
What
But
about, unlimited? Like, I want that so hard. I
I know.
don't wanna feel limited. It feels so unfair, and then the older I get, I'm
Yep.
40 now. I'm exhausted a
Yeah.
lot. So I come up against that and I'm like, I I should be able to do what I have the energy levels that I had in my 20s. Like, snap
Yeah.
out of it, get over it.
It's not
But it's not that
happening.
way.
Just this week, I have made a change in my life that I thought I could never, ever, ever do,
Ooh, what
which
is it?
is
Juicy.
I have, I know about myself that I have the most energy and focus in the morning. I'm just a morning person. But I really love coffee, and I really love lounging with my coffee.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I would keep finding myself spending like an hour to 90 minutes in the morning, not really accomplishing anything, and realizing I'm sort of wasting my peak hours.
You are
Mhm.
speaking to me. Tell me. What?
So I started getting up and just brushing my teeth, having a glass of water, and starting my day with my movement. I know.
Emily's not
It's
happy
not
to
what you
hear
want to
this.
hear. Okay.
The secret feels bad.
I know. It's like a week of it now.
Wow.
The first few days were like, this is miserable. I was walking like a zombie. Like, what's even happening? And somehow, and over the week, it's transformed me. I'm doing so much stuff before noon
Wow.
because then I come home and my coffee's like a little reward. And
Oh.
I'm actually saving my puzzles to the end of the day because they don't really take that much mental energy, and they're sort of like a reward at the end of the day
Are you a
too.
Wordle gal?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
same.
Love me a
Wordle and
Wordle.
spelling bee and crossword
Yep.
puzzles. I could spend
Mhm.
like 45 minutes doing puzzles in the
Ugh,
Yeah.
morning.
it's so that is okay, Allie. I buy this hard, but I hate it so much because it just feels like when you're feeling so good and you're like, and also it gets me out of bed. I'm like, I can't wait to sit around and be weird with my cup of coffee and stare out the window at the people.
I have been
Uh,
drinking coffee since I was 11. Okay.
Wow.
I've been an
Flex.
overachiever since I was 11. I'm not joking. That's the year I first ran 10 miles when I
Oh
was
shit.
11.
Wow. I've never ran 10 miles in my entire life.
Well, I
One time I
later had
ran
hip
3.
surgery, so I don't recommend it. But
Mm.
like it literally was a habit. I thought I can't do things before I have coffee.
Mm.
Mm.
But turns out I can, and it only takes me about 20 minutes to wake up. And the morning is really quiet.
Mhm.
It's kind of nice.
It feels like stealing time to me.
Yes.
Mm.
I get
Ooh.
home and it's like 7:30. I've already exercised, or
Wow.
7:45. Then I have my coffee and it's like I'm ready to do some work.
Mhm.
So just thinking about maybe you're a night owl and maybe people make you feel bad for staying up late, but like actually I get a lot of creative things done, and if I could sleep in or I have a nap and then I do my work in the evening, like that actually is what works for me. I don't know that this will last forever, but right now it's something I'm like I have to harness when my brain is like thinking well.
Yeah.
And
So do you put your creative stuff that you're kind of avoiding in that most productive time rather than
yes.
saying I'll get all the procrastinating done?
Yes.
Okay. So
Mm.
when it's like when you're lit up to be like, let's go, you do like chunk in. You were telling me like put a chunk in your calendar. Like this is when I'm doing this thing, and if it has to move, it has to move, kind of.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe writing songs for you could be with your coffee, but in the morning when you're not quite awake yet, even. So I'm an entrepreneur. Like I teach voice lessons. I run Thinking Outside the Blocks. I do other freelance work. My schedule is rarely exactly the same. So what I do is when I look at my week, I think about the things that I want to spend time doing, like producing a song, writing a song, research, even reading. Those are things I will chunk out in 15 to 1 or 2 hour increments on my calendar. And I color code them with a different color than my rest of my life appointments or my schedule
Mm.
things. And then if I have to move them, I move them. It's flexible. So just seeing it there is a reminder. So, say you want to start vocalizing every day, or you want to make time to write in your journal, or you want to have an hour here to sew, or just even organize your things. Like, when can it fit in? When does it look like it could fit in? And then if you get there and it doesn't, can you move it? Maybe you have to move it to next week. Maybe it takes you a few weeks to figure out, like, what does my schedule actually look like? The other thing I do is that if I have a blank set of time on my calendar and then I end up working on a different project or something takes a really long time, I actually retroactively write in what I was doing for those 4 hours, because I always underestimate how long regular tasks are going to take.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's just helped me be more realistic. And then also when I look back, if it's all blank, I'm not joking, on a Sunday, I'll be like, what did I even do with my life?
Right.
But if I have filled it in and I was like, oh, right, I did taxes for 3 hours or whatever, you see it and it's like helpful to just remember.
Absolutely.
Affirming that you're not just what we all fear, which is I'm just a lazy piece of shit that actually does nothing. You're affirming you're busy, you're doing a lot of things, or you're busy resting because you needed to rest, or
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
rest is so important. That's something I've actually added to my calendar. Like I take Sundays off. I do my goal setting on Sundays, but it's taken me years to be able to say no to anything.
Mm.
And I just, like, clients will say, can you fit me in? And I go, I don't teach Sundays. I don't teach
Yep.
Sundays. I
Yep.
don't teach Sundays.
The mantra.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like, I've had to learn that rest is actually so beneficial for me. So sometimes, like, when this week some of you were going on vacation or family things, I was like, you should put that on your goals. So then you
You
can
did.
rest and relax with my family. Check. Did it.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so that was me that you said that
Mm-hmm.
to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be going out of town for like a month to go back and see my family like we do every summer. And uh because we write all of our goals out on the same Google uh document every week so we can see what each other is doing and what they're planning. And I was like, "Don't worry. I'll like totally like keep doing my goals and like keep doing stuff, but like maybe like smaller stuff." And Allie was full on like, "Why don't you have that as a goal to be with your people and to be on vacation? Like that's your goal." And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that."
Yeah. You
That's
can
part
make
of
that your
life.
most important thing. You have to
Yes.
live your life. Yeah.
Right.
Um, and then, like, say you had a creative goal, like, of, I think it's a great time to, like, fill the well. So maybe your creative goal could be to, like, read a novel or,
Mm.
like,
Terry's like, yeah.
take
Yes.
pictures of things, like, of memories. And it's like, or journal about your day and make some notes of, like, what you did and how you felt. Or,
Mm.
um, like, yeah, you got to fill the creative well as well. Doesn't she talk
Yeah.
about that in,
She sure does. Your
yeah,
weekly
Mhm.
artist date in
yeah,
Yeah.
the artist way. Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Can we talk about accountability? Because you
sure.
are kind of the organizer
Mhm.
of our creative accountability group. How did you come up with that idea? Why did you come up with that idea? And go.
Well, most people will show up for themselves when someone else is expecting them to, or they
Mhm.
have skin in the game, like they have paid for it.
Mhm.
Um, and so over the years, I just know that about myself. Like if I've told a friend I'm going to meet them to work out or walk, or if I've paid for a class, it's easier for me to, like, tell people in my life, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I've paid for this class. I have to go write a song because it's due
Mhm.
for this class.
Mhm.
So accountability just helps us show up for ourselves, even if it's very light accountability. Like no one's coming after you.
Mhm.
No one's really mad at you or disappointed at you. It just really helps people. It helps me. So I've set up these practices. It's really all about me. You're helping me. me.
Perfect.
I need it. Um, all of the creative endeavors I do, it's just like in a bubble. And I
Mhm.
think once I saw that it was just so helpful for me to be reminded because of all of these same things again and again and again, I need to remember, like, oh, right, my energy is not infinite. And sometimes that comes in the accountability of my friends saying, like, you did so much. So just seeing that, like, other people are dealing with the same ups and downs of
Yes.
life and how they deal with them. And so really everything in my life, I find someone to be my accountability buddy in that sense. And I used to do this one-on-one with my friend, and then it just wasn't working for her schedule anymore, and her schedule was more the same all the time. So I brought it to our group, like, let's be accountability buddies. And
How do you know when someone is going to be a good fit as an accountability buddy or a part of your accountability group?
they don't even have to have the same goals as you. You just have to like click with them, I think. So like I've done this with like exercise things or like health related goals. Just knowing someone cares about me. And I think it helps if there's a balance of like they need you too. So like they have a goal. It's not just them checking on you, you know. Um I would not chase you all. That's the other thing. So if you all just like never responded to me, I would go find someone who did.
Good.
Because I'm sure that
Freaking good.
tons of times, I'm sure you like, I've had this happen where you like start to do something with someone and they kind of like fall off and then you kind of fall off, or you're the guy who falls off. I've definitely been that person. But you have to keep looking for your people and trying to, what I like too is like, there are multiple of us. So if one of
Yeah.
us is not with it that week, usually it's me, then we have like 2 or 3 other people that are, hey, responsive too. So it doesn't mean you're going to find your forever people and then forever they're going to be
Right.
there.
Like Bess was my accountability buddy for like 5 years. We just every Sunday or every week we would like connect and talk about our goals and kind of write them out. I was worried in the small group setting that because we have 5 people in our group, that I would be not as comfortable being vulnerable. But as soon as we chatted, I realized that was not an issue. So I think that's the other part of the puzzle, is that you feel safe with the people to actually tell them what's going on with you. Because if you're hiding, then it's like, they can't help you.
Yep.
If you're struggling alone, you have to be able to say, I had a crappy week.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's not, your accountability for people is not being like, well, you got to suck it up anyway.
Right.
It's like being seen and being a human to each other.
Yeah. And occasionally saying like, hey friend, that seems like a lot that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you? Do you feel like you're doing too
No.
much?
No.
Like Emily, you just finally admitted that you only put your creative goals on our list, and that you actually have like a whole other set of goals.
Yep. Yeah. It was like, okay, I'm supposed to pick 2 things for this group.
No, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't work like
and
that.
then it was like, this is that goal group. And then I also have like 10 things I have to do for this company that I'm like contracted to work for. So if it falls off over here, it's because my goals for this group aren't working. But like, it's because I'm doing this.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I told
but I
her
do
for the
nothing.
time
Yeah.
period, the work goals had to actually be more important than her songwriting creative goals.
Yeah.
Even if that sucks, it's just like you can't do everything all at once.
Yes, you can.
Well, I can because
Allie.
I'm special.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're special.
And this is why we love being in Allie's group of folks, because it's like the way that you have packaged this and gone through this, and your heart, while also being extremely like organized. We feel very lucky to be a part of that group with you. Like it's helped me a lot.
Absolutely.
Thanks. You
We
guys help me
really
too. I
thanks.
hate being alone in my questions of like decisions, and sometimes just saying it out loud to someone helps me realize what I need my decision to be.
Yep.
And being an island as a business person, as a creative, as a woman is really hard.
Yes.
And
Yes, it is.
so finding community is really important, I think. Like literally in TOTB, we have a monthly songwriting challenge. And all it is like you have to say you're in on the challenge, then write the challenge, then share. But it's magic. Just
Mm.
writing like I'm in, I'm going to write a song
Yep.
is enough pressure for people to show up for themselves. And then over time they realize it's scary to share that song that they don't think is like 100% what they want it to be, but other people find some beauty in it, or they shared it and they didn't pass away, you know? Like
Mhm.
it's not the end
Yes.
of the world. And in this scenario, it's just helpful for me to be reminded that like
Mm.
life goes up and down. And
Yep.
Mm.
there was one other little tool that I use that I wanted to share with people who maybe like to gamify things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love this app called Streaks, and it's a very, very simple app. I basically use it for my daily goals or my a few times a week goals of that I just want to be on autopilot habit,
Okay.
such as drinking 12 ounces of water before I drink anything else,
Mhm.
meditating for 5 minutes, reading a book for 5 or 10 minutes, vocalizing, playing guitar, getting a certain number of steps, even taking my vitamins, or making sure I check my bank account. And sometimes some of these drinking a certain amount of water, but you just when you do it, it gives you like a little ding, yay,
And you get a little dopamine hit, and then you're like,
Yes.
yes.
Um,
Awesome.
and I have been drinking a glass of water first thing for 431 days. That's my longest streak.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Meditation I've done for like 3 months and then missed. Like, and then you have to start over. But it's still fun because what I've realized is that consistency doesn't look like perfection, even though I really don't want to break that water streak because that will bum me out. Like consistency just looks like a different thing for each habit. So sometimes that means like twice a week, but twice a week over the course of like months adds up.
That's right.
So I love this app because I can actually look back at the month and be like, well, I wasn't perfect, but I did do it more times than I didn't do it,
Mhm.
you know? And I just really love like that it goes ding, and you can archive goals or change goals, and I do that as they become like not relevant to me.
So we'll put a link to that app and then all the books and stuff that we've talked about in the show notes. So, dear listener, if you would like to go check those out, you can. I know we have to go, but can you mention, because I think this is a really important part of our accountability group, is the structure that we fill out every week, which is not just like, what are your goals? Tell me a whole list. Can you talk about the specific things, the 2 and then the 3
Yes.
things? I
And
don't
we
want to.
can link to Ali Abdal's YouTube video on this
Okay.
as well, because this is from his quarterly quests. So at the beginning of each quarter, we set a most important work or goal. So in our case, is business related, and then a most important life goal. And these things at the end of the 3 months have to be measurable by a few items that everyone else you could say, like what we were talking about before, like Carrie, I wrote this many songs,
Mhm.
I did this thing, that you have to have evidence of it. And then every week we revisit those goals. You look at your main goals and you pick a step towards it. So you're just creating a smaller version of that, how you're working towards that. And you're allowed a few side quests, they call them, basically like smaller goals that if you have time, you can do. So we are all busy, high
Mhm.
achieving people. So we always have 3 side quests. Uh, but then he also has something called the morning manifesto, which is meant to like just sort of help reorient you every day. Like, what is my main goal this week? And like, what am I going to do today to work towards that goal? And then we do that for the 12 weeks, and then we reassess or recreate new goals
for the next quarter.
So
So what we do, at least in our accountability group, a work most important thing, life most important thing, and then 3 side quests.
But max.
yes.
Yeah, I want to have like 8 and then not even do hardly any of them.
Yeah, that's
I don't want to do that.
Literally me being like, for this group, yeah, it's tricky,
It
but
is.
it's so helpful.
Sorry I called you out, Emily.
No, please.
That's
Come on, do it.
why we're doing this. That's
Yeah,
why we're in
yeah.
the group. Allie, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. We so appreciate you. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you with our group, and thank you so much for everything.
Thanks for having me. This was a fun convo.
Honestly, dear listener.